I'm tired, but I want to make a video about this, so let's do a quickie, why don't we? Because, you know what? I don't feel like editing right now. So, this is a ThinkPad T420S that I got at the thrift store not that long ago. This thing set me back all of $15, and I couldn't believe it. My guessing is because, you know, how ThinkPads are kind of look like 90s machines to a point. They probably thought this was a 90s machine and just kind of threw it on the shelf rather than in the glass case as they usually would. So I walked by it, saw it, figured, hey, I don't have any 90s ThinkPads in my collection. I should pick this up. Picked it up, saw a Lenovo logo, figured, oh, well, maybe it's just, you know, an aughts machine then. No, open it up. She's rocking the Sandy Bridge because the 420 was the second generation of the T series, I guess. I guess it was the second generation. I don't know. I don't know my timelines with these machines, but the 2 tends to indicate that it's a second gen I series. So this thing is rocking an i7 actually. When I looked it up online, because if we go back here, we can see the serial number and we can see the model number. And punching that in, pulled up reviews, and this is basically a fully loaded version with dedicated graphics, the NVS 4200M by NVIDIA, and fingerprint scanner functionality. Nice. So this thing is in the state it is in after I repaired most of it. It's got a little bit of scuffing here and there, but I've also been kind of tossing it around and not really taking care of it as I should. But this was kind of the only thing majorly wrong with it. The little edge here kind of took a little boo-boo, but whatever, right? Going across it, we have our little wireless switch here, a blanking plate, get more on that later, are deceptively compatible with Dell power jack, which it is not, a gigabit Ethernet port, USB 3.0, powered USB 2.0 ports, display ports, VGA, notable no HDMI, cooling vent, and another USB 2.0 on the side, combination audio jack here, and we have what looks like an express card slot in which a SD card reader is installed. Now, from out here, it doesn't look like it, but from inside, if you actually undo a screw, it clicks in and clicks out kind of like a express card slot does. So, interesting design choice. I think it's internally express card, but I don't know. And smart card. Yay. Anyway, so what is all wrong with this machine? Surprisingly, nothing. At least stopping it from starting up. Unfortunately, the batteries are very toasted. And I said this was a blanking plate. Well, that was a lie. This is a battery. Another battery. Shocker. And sadly, both of them are toasted. So, the first thing I did was I checked to see what kind of drive it has in it. Because the specs page says SSD. So I went in here and saw that there was a black SSD in here. And I was like, that's weird, because I thought Lenovo used Intel. Turns out, no. There was a SanDisk SSD in here, in a 480 gigabyte one at that. So I helpfully liberated this thing of its SSD, and it's currently sitting in my custom built as we speak. And I was able to move that SSD in my custom built that was in there down to my home theater PC, because this is what was in there, and good God, this is a janky pile of junk. Beside the point, I pulled this door off to check the RAM, and to my surprise, found another SSD in there. It's only an mSATA 128GB Samsung PM830, but it's an SSD. It's still going to be pretty damn quick unless you're using the crappy PM951 that is in my Dell Precision. Don't ask me how I know this. That said, I did install an OS onto this, Windows 10, because, spoiler alert, I plugged it in and it worked. It booted right to Windows 10, and went to somebody's login for their business, so I'm guessing this was a business machine. And the relative age of the SSD, at least the SanDisk one, makes me think this thing, somebody tried to revive this thing and just gave up on it, because it did have a problem, and that was this battery, the secondary battery, was causing it to basically just turn itself off after a period of time. When I removed the battery, everything was right as rain, and it would continue running forever. However, I did put a BIOS update onto it because it was woefully out of date, and that problem seems to have gone away. So, what I'm going to do is, I think I left this with a full charge on the batteries, because they are fried, like I said, but they still do hold somewhat of a charge. We're going to go ahead and see if she will boot off the battery. Got our keyboard light up here. We got a little bit of dust on the screen. It's doing the thing that it was doing before. So I guess this means we're going to have to bust out the power adapter somewhere over here. Yeah, because I don't think the battery has enough oomph to get it started. But I thankfully have the power adapter. I actually have a Core 2 Duo ThinkPad in the garage somewhere. It's like the consumer grade ThinkPads. And shaky cam here. Sorry about that. That plugged in. Again, I'm lazy. You don't have to be me. Plug this thing in. Said plug this thing in. Get. Alright. So who doesn't like a good old classic shaky cam video? And boom! It starts right up. So these batteries are, yeah, very toasty. So as we can see here, our keyboard has a fair amount of miles on it. Shiny with a lot of worn away lettering. The fingerprint scanner we have, top end model. I'm going to go ahead and give it the middle finger salute. It's going to tell me to screw myself. Eventually, it's going to tell me just enter your damn pin. Just, yeah. Alright. Come on. So, the keyboard, this is really the first time I've had some intimate time with the keyboard on these things because, well, I've been told, oh my god, ThinkPad keyboards are great. And I do find myself agreeing, but I do not like the feel of this keyboard. Mostly because it feels like the key travel is way too deep for a laptop, and I'm having to press kind of hard on some of these keys to get them to register. But maybe a newer keyboard is going to be a bit lighter and more responsive than this one. That's something I've certainly thought about doing, is getting a new keyboard. But as we can see over here too, it just feels like there's a lot of play on this side of the keyboard too. My Dell machines do not have that problem. So yeah, let's go ahead and just pop this thing right into this PC. And we will see what this thing is packing. Actually, you know what? No. Device Manager. That's the way. So, let's see. Processors, we have a 2640M in here. So, i7, as I said before. Go to displays. Go to displays. My brain. We have both of our graphics cards. Perfectly serviceable. And if we go down here, we can see our batteries are both being picked up, and they're both kind of trashed. Now, what's funny is if I unplug it, now it's perfectly fine. Like, it'll run off the batteries for a second, but we're not going to do that because we're not sadistic. Anyway, if we pop open hardware monitor, we can kind of see just how bad these batteries are. Ouch. Not good. So, the executive decision I've made with this laptop, and the reason why I'm just doing a quickie video rather than like a full-fledged video with my awesome camcorder is because this is actually going to go to my friend Noah, because I have decided I'm not going to be putting money into this thing. As for why, well, if I look to my left, I can see that I have a Latitude E64. I'm going to say E6420 a lot when talking about this laptop because same generation and all that. I have an E7240 that is just looking at me like, why don't you ever take me out? Why don't you do anything with me? So getting this would just complicate things a lot more. But I would like to use this for content consumption because the speakers are actually decent. They're not the best, but they're good for, YouTube videos and such. But again, I have two laptops I don't use enough as it is. Mostly thanks to COVID and not having to go out anywhere, but, I really want to use them more, but this is not going to make things any better. Plus, the batteries are going to be the better part of $100, and due to the financial forecast, so to speak, well, I don't anticipate money being in plentiful supply for the next couple of months. So I don't really have the means to take care of this thing right now. Rather give it to somebody who can appreciate and can use it. So yeah, that's really it for this machine. There's really not much to say about it. I'm just lucky I got this thing for as much as I did. $15, like holy crap. Just for the SSD that was in here, that was worth it. If nothing else worked, good God, it would have been the score of the century still. But this just was like, stop, he's already dead, kind of, with thrift store scores, because I just plugged it in, and it worked. Well, after I took out the secondary battery and ran a BIOS update, but it works. So, yeah. Pretty much it. Hopefully you don't mind the relatively rough cut nature of this video because I just wanted to get a quick one out. But yeah, that is it. That is the ThinkPad blazing it T420S.